Weather warfare assault, a medical doctor-physician speaks out. The ongoing battle to expose and halt the climate engineering insanity, by reaching a critical mass of awareness on the issue, is now rapidly gaining traction. By sharing credible data with others and networking credible data on every possible form of social media, very important members of society, including medical professionals, are waking up and joining the battle against the highly toxic atmospheric aerosol spraying. All of us are needed in the critical effort to keep the forward momentum going. We must wake the masses to what is going on in our skies. We must wake the masses to the all-out weather/biological warfare that is being waged against populations and the entire web of life on planet Earth. My most sincere gratitude to Dr. Inez Maria Pandit for making her voice heard in this most critical fight for the greater good. Weather Warfare Against Germany. By Inez Maria Pandit, MD. Once again Germany had been attacked by particularly severe airstrikes employing technology from the arsenal of weather weapons. For 2 weeks in a row there had been daily thunderstorms occurring all over Germany in variable patterns. Some regions suffered severe damage from extremely heavy rains causing flooding and mudslides. People were struck by lightning that in some instances came suddenly out of nowhere. Hamburg was hit by a 200 km/h tornado. The German National Weather Service, Deutscher Wetterdienst, issued the same forecast day after day: severe weather warnings, heavy rains, thunderstorms, hail. Grotesque. Yes, more and more people are realizing that something is not quite right as far as the weather is concerned, but attribute only to climate change. Very few are aware of the magnitude of climate engineering. I myself woke up in 2012 after having noticed strange weather phenomena and cloud formations in Germany ever since 2006, a year after my return from the US where I had lived since 1992. When I found out about weather manipulation and geoengineering, I took this very seriously, starting my own observations in Germany, Australia, Belgium, Singapore, Dubai, and research into the matter. I joined an activist group, Saubererhimmel.de and Blauerhimmel.info, discussing various topics related to geoengineering and going out to enlighten others by distributing flyers, stickers, and conducting roadshow-like events. There had been mostly positive feedback from fellow citizens and the occasional stupid comment and verbal attack. Even though more and more are waking up, it is remarkable how many remain oblivious to the truth. As a physician, it is my duty to divulge my complete knowledge of all factors affecting health. So how could I not speak of the toxic aerosols sprayed from aircraft and most harmful irradiation with electromagnetic and other frequencies intentionally used to manipulate human physiology and behavior to the point of mental disruption and even death? New illnesses and ailments are emerging in addition to increasing numbers of airway disease, skin and digestive problems, depression, fatigue, dementia, childhood behavior disorders, and nervous system symptoms. Indeed, there is a master plan designed by the global network of psychopathic entities. The Georgia Guidestones and their messages outline the intentions of the elite as well as UN Agenda 21 and the secret agreements of the Bilderberg meetings. The goal is genocide on a large scale, to establish the New World Order and control the few slaves left on Earth. This is an evil insanity totally beyond comprehension for the mind of most fellow human beings. Fortunately, this lack of suspicion shows that the majority of people on Earth are not insane and immoral but fast asleep. Over decades in medicine, I have observed that most of my doctor colleagues are completely unaware, or worse, in denial of what is going on in medicine, not to mention politics and environment. I am convinced that is in part the result of academic training which is cleverly designed to abolish critical thinking, reason, common sense, and free will. What is my current assessment of the state of health of planet Earth? I think we nearly have reached the point of no return. I am trying to remain optimistic and hopeful, but I must admit that this becomes more and more difficult. If we achieve the necessary critical mass of conscious souls very soon, it might be possible to avert a cataclysm of apocalyptic dimension. Yet, there are the many prophecies. Telling others about the truth is our moral obligation, and it is of utmost importance to remember the reality of faith, light, and love. I agree with my colleague Dr. Ronnekild, Finland, who was killed last year, for speaking the truth about mental programming for decades. There is no death. And the most powerful energies we can send out into the spiritual world are love and light. My heartfelt gratitude and appreciation of his amazing work, courage, and dedication to save planet Earth goes to Dane Wigington. I also greet all friends all over the world in our common quest for spreading the truth. Let's keep going. Thank you all. Inez Maria Pandit, MD. Allgemeine Medizin and Integrative/Anthroposophic Medicine, Germany. 96 comments and responses to this article. Weather Warfare Assault, a physician speaks out. Judson Singer says, "Please remember that we are not helpless. It's time to stand our ground. It's been quite a while since chemtrail aircraft have appeared in our local skies. We're very vigilant in our community and ready to kick ass and name names of positively identified aircraft using Flight Radar 24's website. It also has apps for iOS and Android devices. It's time to take the offensive and stay on it. Airlines regularly scan the internet, especially social media sites, in order to get intel on their competitors as well as monitor their own online reputations. Data posted on the internet, if absolutely true, can have a very long life. This can be good or devastating to a company. And, we still are not precluded from taking legal action against those who harm us. Know what I mean? Use the plus and minus sign on the right side of the window to zoom in and out. Use the mouse to drag up and down, left and right. Click on any yellow aircraft and the aircraft details show up on the left side of the window. Flight Radar 24 also has iOS and Android apps for your device. Use any camera with a timestamp feature to document the time and date of the photo. Take several photos to show that the aerosol spreads in the way characteristic of chemtrails, then post the results. Keep doing this every time new chemtrails pop up. See if these aircraft eventually stop because of the constant damaging publicity. Hope this helps. Smiley face, Pedro says. Hello Dane and friends, thank you for your work. Hello MRS Rachel. Thank you very much for your words. Yes, I know about all forests in all ecosystems, from the subarctic to the Amazons. Amazons river means in local language, sea river. And the sea river is drying. I've given the example of the Rhine forests because these are the big picture about biodiversity in the terrestrial ecosystems. The little frogs there look like jewels, and their birds are from paradise. And I respect rocks, and yes, rocks can be holy and can transmit energy. And I know too that soil capture lots of CO2. But science teaches us the narcissistic way of looking to the world and things. We give more importance to the dead and to the micro, than the attention and respect we should give and pay to the mighty and magnificent. And now some rich MFS want to exterminate everything, including us. You can't see the connection? We are looking for water in Mars, and we have paradise on our planet, before these last 1,000 years. Now it's only insanity. I'm sad that the Tyson guy works for the MFG family. And there isn't a point of no return. You must trust in the energy of the rocks. MRS Rachel. 74,000 years ago the supervolcano Toba almost erased all humanity, and here we are. Anyway, I will stay with the elephants, jaguars, and trees. I leave the bacteria for the scientists. Good luck to us all. John Doe says. The people of Kentucky are slowly waking up to the all-out assault on this beautiful land and our health. Just this year I have had 4 good friends diagnosed with brain cancer. 2 are terminal. The neurosurgeon who operated one young man advised his patient to stay indoors as he was sure the chemicals in Kentucky air were the culprit. How sad it is to see the all-out fear in my friend's eyes as he told me about the doctor's comments. All I will say is this will continue until we the people take action and do whatever is necessary to stop this attempt at genocide. These are psychopathic mass murderers who are directing these horrible deeds, and from some folks in Kentucky I understand that the day of reckoning is coming. I don't care to know what that means, but for those involved in these acts, either they are the pilots or the companies contracted to do spraying, they know who they are. I take it personal when anything is sprayed on me, just as the imbeciles whose ideas these belong. I can't explain the feeling when I see the true damage all around. People losing animals, farm crops, and worst of all our loved ones are become ill from this. I hope others make decisions to act and act now, because we cannot wait. We will all die if we delay. These are criminals at best and will be dealt with as such. If the government won't act, then they are involved and criminal just the same. Anyone reading this, I will gladly assist in any way. We have people and resources. God be with you and yours, and time has come. JR says. Hey John Doe, I don't or can't read all posts. Look at DVD Brzezinski on cancer healing, very educational on cancer cure. Not all will survive, but he uses antineoplastons instead of chemotherapy and radiation. He has or had Brzezinski Clinic, not MD Anderson in Houston, Texas. Thanks, and anyone who reads this and comes across this post, please relate to John if I'm not posting. Anonymous says. So good to see so many more waking up. That certainly was a very good article. This is frying everything and everything. Herb says. UV supposedly going to be 12 today in Central AZ, according to sources that puts UVB at 6.6. So let me try to get this straight. They're trying to dim the sun. Solar energy is being reduced, yet it grows hotter and hotter. Obviously the ozone layer is being hammered. Christ, whatever they're trying to do, it's not working. Pedro says. Hello Dane. Try to bring Neil deGrasse Tyson to this fight. This man will be an heavyweight on your side. With him and with some movie star with you, the MFS will shake. Good luck Silver Wolf. And you know that some trees can weigh more than 1,000 tons. And live more than 3,000 years. This living beings are the greatest symbols that represent the magnificence of nature, and forests are the natural house for everybody, human and not human. We must put things in perspective. Most people in the West were raised without the connection with nature. This will be a good fight. Thank you. Pedro. Rachel Robson says. Pedro, hi. I could not agree with you more about trees and forests and the magnificence of nature. Unfortunately, when the intruders came in numbers, the first thing they did was to start cutting down the forests that once covered this land, vast stands of huge trees. It breaks my heart. Redwoods in California used to be thick all down the state to our Bay Area, but logging became a much-loved profession. Obviously, people had no clue about the relationship of trees with weather and fertile soils. About Neil deGrasse Tyson, unfortunately, he is with Cornell University, which means he will never speak out on this issue. But, there are some movie stars who are aware and talking. And you are right, that can be very helpful in reaching large numbers of people. Here's hoping. Jean says. Can someone help me identify this bizarre cloud formation that formed over our neighborhood this afternoon? Can't seem to upload photos. I know I've seen it in the GeoEng news. It was shocking to watch, like a movie scene. Only a trickle of rain came from it for just minutes. The sky was whited out right before it formed. I could see the pulsing arcs that seemed to sort of push out the waves to form the puff clouds. All the puff clouds connected to form a large mass. Very eerie. Called my district rep's office. Was treated like a tinfoil hat wearer. I won't stop, however. I want answers. This was a first in this NGA area. Earth Angel says. Jean, which area of NGA are you in if you don't mind my asking? I live in NGA and wondered who your district rep is? I also have contacted some of my area reps about this topic on numerous occasions, including Governor Nathan Deal, unfortunately with no real response or positive action taken by any of them. What a surprise! Jean says. am in Rob Whittle's district. Have written him twice. First time he responded a form letter stating that I was seeing chemtrails and they were not a danger. Of course, I had specifically noted that I was aware that what I was seeing was not chemtrails but geoengineering. Likely, the response came from a low-level staff member or volunteer. With this last bizarre cloud formation over our neighborhood, I immediately got on the phone to his office. I was furious. The staff member who I spoke to tried to patronize me, but I made it clear I wanted answers. My entire family stood on our deck with our mouths open watching this thing form. It was like watching a horror movie. I followed up an email and pics. I plan to keep contacting the office until I get an appropriate response. I see there is a group called Thrive working on this as well, and I'm finding some contacts for this area of GA, so I'm going to just keep at it. Appreciate any resources in the area you might suggest. Would be glad to send the pics to you to see if you've seen anything like what we saw. I know I've run across something similar on this website before. Earth Angel says. Hi Jean, I spoke today with Paul at Rob Whittle's office. We had a very good conversation about geoengineering, your contacting the office previously, my witnessing being sprayed at low level by a dark unmarked military-type jet in May of 2012 near the Dawson/Pickens County line, and the Congress people I have discussed the incident with and provided photos and information packages which included geoengineeringwatch.org literature. I gave him my name and contact number and asked him to visit this site and to do some research here. I told him I am in a neighboring district and would be glad to discuss this further with Mr. Woodall and their office. I hope this helps. Would like to contact you if possible but don't know exactly how. Perhaps Dane might be able to put us in contact through the site? He has my permission to give you my contact info. If you care to. Hope this helps us somehow. I told him there were 1,000s of us speaking out on this issue globally, and we will continue to do so until it is addressed publicly and stopped. We will not stop. Jean says. Oh my, thank you. I'm so grateful to you, Earth Angel, for contacting Whittle's office. The gal I spoke to stated no one had ever called reporting any such problem. I told her that should be a concern to her, as the spraying has been so overt and heavy that you have to be a zombie to not take notice. This is so crazy. How is it possible that a state republic hasn't heard from anyone this matter? I just don't believe it. I believe I may be familiar your testimony, and, if so, it looks like you've been at this for a few years. I look forward to gleaning from your experience and wisdom. Alan says. Heavy spraying over San Diego County today, in advance of forecast temperatures in excess of 100 degrees inland over the weekend. Bane B says. Yes, the One Pacific Redwood meteorologist has his analyses up and running at his YouTube site. One video of 1.6 minutes is of the sky over LA being sprayed with the usual Frankenstein cloud formations. The other vid is a 13-minute weather expose for California and his emphasis on how the evil bastards, his words, are responsible for the drought and the fires, he being obviously frustrated by what is deliberately being done to Southern California. For some reason here in the North State we had off and on rain for 3 days. In 25 years here I cannot recall 3 days of rain in mid-June. Indeed it is rare to have rain any time in June. I note on my weather site it is raining in Redding now north of here. One Pacific Redwood stated that the televised weather reports failed to show the direct feed satellite imagery but opted for man-made animations. The weather manipulation is so obvious that a rank weather forecast groupie would quickly understand just what a contrived weather warfare mess is taking place out in the eastern Pacific and over California and the southwestern United States. There are fires in Santa Barbara and Simi Valley. 100 degree temps forecast for next few days. Killer Dana says. Amador County, California spray alert. This post is worse than a broken record. I know that most people are sick and tired of the bioweapon our own government has unleashed on the general population in the good old USA. How do we stop it, you say? We stop the spraying when we all say, no more spraying in my world. The aerosol spraying of our environment is the worst, most dark-sided, evil operation I have seen in 58 years on this earth. How many more days can I hold out till they stop this genocide of all living air-breathing mammals on the planet? I will hold on long enough to see this to the bitter end. Clifford Carnicom speaks in his research of 17 years now, of the killing properties of high-dose VITC in a intravenous infused 4-glutathione and NAC are also very important to this fight for survival. I do know of a clinic in Sacramento that dose high-dose VITC 4. Health Associates Medical Group, Sacramento, CA. Godspeed will prevail. James LS says. Killer Dana, James, please keep posting your Amador County alerts. You helped me recognize chems that are coming east. We all here feel like you describe. Hang in there. I wanted you to know I am out here watching for your reports. LS. Denny says. I just wonder if this will end before I die. It's unreal. I could never had thought anything remotely this insane and grandiose could happen here. Megalomaniacs. Rachel Robson says. Yesterday we had the most extreme looking skies here over Berkeley, all day and night. When my daughter the other day came up from Lodi, she was anxious to show me a photo she'd taken with her new cheap cell phone that she cannot yet find a way to post. She'd seen one of those rainbow blobs in the clouds there and looked online about it from her phone, stunned to see so very many comments from the valley. Many had posted their shots and railed against geoengineering. And many railed against conspiracy theorists in return. It all turned ugly in communication attempts which surprised her, the sheer numbers both against geoengineering, and against those aware. Tons of photos of these, tons of hatred. Beginning to make her want to post. I mean she's been aware for so very very long, yet stayed out of the fray. Some were calling these rainbow blobs chem dogs. But yesterday, out and about and seeing the most in-your-face over-the-top displays of hell on earth, I kept asking her to take photos and she would not, as she is having trouble with this phone, but also, she criticizes me in a way, like, yes mom, lots of chem stuff, what else is new? Well, for one thing, the way they look today. The sheer mass today of every version and this microwave/harp crap. And big fat lines, every single kind of line. I mean, I did not scream but wish I had not that would have worked. At least 1/4 of whole sky was squiggles, morphing and moving, swallowing up the sky. A few years ago? Or less, I saw a distinct harp signature right above Cal, and posted that there would be an earthquake and there was. Now, with these squiggles, I get confused. Some say the word microwaved. Or, fried, zapped, electrified. I don't know anymore, or today, as my brain is shot. When she left yesterday, said to me I was in the doorway of covered porch that she just felt something hit her arm and that it might be that rain really was coming. Said this cheerfully and because weather people said some rain, drizzle here and there. I said, honey, you are feeling that crap falling down. She gave me a look. As if I'd taken it too far. I said hey, what goes up must come down. And, no, we got no rain, no drizzle, despite claims of humidity. The back of the truck I always mention is bone dry today. This girl was going on about chemtrails before I became aware. Her beloved mother of 3 of her brothers has been screaming about chemtrails since the mid-80s. How could she, a child of mine, know this, yet be so very clueless? It was as if it had never occurred to her that the crap comes down. Turns out she's not growing a garden this year because of their water issues, not because of geoengineering. Just a couple of days before, she and family met with many other family and kids at Shasta Lake where they all camped and played and boated. Said they had to adjust the boat every day of the 4 days there as the water just kept going down and down. Not one mention of the skies, trees, etc. And, those family members, many of them were children and grandchildren of the woman that has been screaming about this since the 80s. My God! Talk about bias towards deeper understanding, and this just skims the surface. My own child. My nephews who kept teasing me about chemtrails before I became aware. I mean, none of these kids are stupid, but how to explain? I don't get it. I know we all say this all the time, but these are supposedly aware adults. None of them research. Nor care what I find out. What? Would bum them out too much? Can't hold a train of thought? WTF? Or, they are simply surrendering to a world beyond their control about which they can do nothing in reality other than complain? Such that what I say sounds like complaining? An old lady worrying too much, harshing their buzz? I mean, I expect this from those who are willfully ignorant and unaware. But my own. What to do? Dear God, a couple of days ago I had to explain false flag to her. Sigh. I feel like I've failed. Efforts all for naught. Stefan says. The Weather Network here in Canada shows an update every 10 minutes on the television. The backdrop to their so-called forecast is a photo that they have chosen from viewers. They choose the most disgusting skies and sunsets that belong in hell. Turn the heat up a little more on that pot of water with the frog in it. Veritas says. Pollution has gotten so bad in China that they now have designated breathing days. This is what these psychopaths have planned for us all. The good news keeps coming. God forbid these parasites quit spraying, nuking, microwaving, dumping, and poisoning the whole world. No, that would make sense. Instead, let's all walk around with masks and oxygen tanks so the bloated bankers, politicians, and CEOs can get raises. http://www.eastasia.tribune.com/north-asia/china-adopts-curb-pollution. Inez Maria Pandit MD says. Dear Dane and friends. Thank you for posting my thoughts and observations, which I really wanted to share with all of you. And I also thank everyone for their kind and encouraging comments and responses. I do appreciate your support. In my profession I am rather alone. There is hardly any colleague with whom I could discuss medical concerns in the light of geoengineering and the current political agendas. The medical world is full of errors, lies and deception and the concealment of truth. It is time for medical professionals to speak out about the medical agenda. And we are free to choose. But this freedom is at stake outwardly if we do not recognize our freedom and power to stand up against forces that are opposing freedom in spiritual matters, equality in matters of justice and jurisdiction, and brotherliness in economic life. Light will prevail. Inez Kent and wife says. Here in the heart of the country, our local ABC Channel 9, back, maybe 15-20 YRS ago, had an honest and excellent meteorologist. I'll call him Dave D, in case Dave may work as a weatherman where true AccuWeather is needed. Speaking of AccuWeather, whatever happened to that? Why don't the Geo Harper etc. get these meteorologists in order to bring it back? Al, let's see, where was I? Oh yeah, Dave was let go because he aired some questions about the funny weather. What's needed is for honest folk in masses to come and shout it out. If not, no one will have a career, or what's left of them, I mean, for Saxons and honest people. Good day. Melanie Moran says. Dear Dr. Pandit, thank you so much for having the moral fortitude to speak the truth. I truly believe it is us, who choose to do the right thing, that will save humanity and all of the divine creatures and plant life who we live in harmony with. Sincere gratitude to you, dear heart. David Gershon says. I graduated from medical school 44 years ago, started a residency in psychiatry and analysis, soon discovered mental illness in its common manifestations is a spiritual condition, not a disease. Threatened, with my own money, walked away from practicing, to live a spiritual life and raise a family. When 9/11s happened, knew there was something funny about the government's story, began researching how the world really works, and what is currently going on out there in the world. A spiritual website, no longer online, with 500 pages of material based on Matthew 24:40-41, 2 will be in the field, 1 will be taken etc., came into my life, putting everything in context. Those of us who turn within for help and guidance are protected. Rachel Robson says. Dr. Pandit, I very much would like to express my deepest thanks with regard to your bravery in speaking out on this dire issue. I have some friends who are MDs, some aware, but they will not speak about it to the public or other doctors. And, as a sick person for much of my life, A positive RNP, mixed connective tissue disease, and separately, much spinal damage, I have been through the mill with doctors and am very interested in your comment about training designed to abolish critical thinking, reason, common sense, and free will. Boy, does that ring true, and why is that? What is the reasoning behind such numbing of the very ones entrusted with lives? I've long since learned that doctors never say sorry, never admit to being wrong, to doing the wrong thing. I take it that would be a sign of weakness, an admission implying guilt, where in fact just the opposite is true. I, for one, would respond much more positively to a doc without an ego the size of New York. I could forgive a doctor who takes responsibility for wrongdoing. But it is hard to work with, much less forgive the brick walls they have become. And they are too quick to prescribe drugs. In many ways they have done to people what others have done to the skies. There really is a similarity there, as well as a lack of regard for true health in all its aspects. And yes, the prophecies. So many. For American Indians these include mostly things relating to weather, such as there will be tornadoes where there never have been before. A tornado in Hamburg. Amazing. What did people make of that? Surely that got attention. I regret that your friend who spoke out was killed. Was this doctor killed because of speaking out? This makes you even more brave and perhaps more determined to tell the truth? I pray for your safety. The world needs doctors such as you, with the moral fortitude to address the foremost issue in your patients' lives whether or not they realize it. You now join the ranks of trailblazers. And I agree with you and your friend that there is no death. I have seen the other side, I know it is real and not to be feared but for being a major change. Many do feel that the most powerful thing we can do is to send out light and love to the world. I'm not sure I agree, though I do that. So far, even given the many millions doing this, it doesn't seem to be working. I also agree that it may well be too late. Too much damage done. Regardless, it does count to recognize the truth and speak to it. It means a great deal that a doctor such as yourself backs us up in this battle as all of us try to align ourselves with what is just and true, even holy. We can only hope that more doctors can gain the awareness you have and the moral fortitude to speak out, not only on their own behalf, but on behalf of the patients who entrust them with their lives. I hope you will continue to write articles for this site, and others, giving insights only a practicing doctor could have. This would be a great benefit to us, and perhaps an inspiration, even a challenge to others in your field. My most sincere thanks to you and gratitude. Blessed be. Jan Becker says. Dear Dr. Pandit. Thank you so much for posting on Dane's site. I am going through personal medical hell right now because the doctors believe that they will find the intestinal problems I have had since 2004 by giving me first a colonoscopy, then an upper GI endoscopy, and finally a small bowel follow-through with barium. This last one nearly stopped my colon from working at all. The doctor said that the barium was inactive, so he insisted that I take 2 more 12-ounce containers of the stuff. This was on Friday, June 17, and now my intestinal bleeding has started up again. It had been very subdued for 6 weeks before. They found nothing to explain the bleeding. Every time I show them the test on my urine that says my lead, strontium, and thallium levels are beyond acceptable range, they just shake their heads and go on. The naturopath I saw said that is the least of your problems. I am starting to think that what is in the air is causing the irregular occurrence of bleeding. It took me down so far in March that my hemoglobin was a 5.5, minimum is 12. I could not walk more than a few feet. I am a former athlete, have ridden my bicycle all over the West Coast with 50 to 60 pounds of weight on it during multiple camping tours. Do I have a leg to stand on, or should I just shut up about my theory? I'm a little afraid they will try to commit me to a mental asylum, to be honest. Donsky says. I concur with Dr. Inez. It is our moral obligation to speak the truth. I appreciate your integrity in these dark times we are experiencing. I hope you can hear and spiritually sense my thunderous cyber standing ovation. Smiley face. Pedro says. Hello Dane and friends. Thank you for your work. Rainforests are really, not only beautiful and wonderful, very, very important in many different aspects. We all are, in an evolution perspective, sons and daughters of the forests. This is true. They are, with the nano-F particles in the aerosols, catalyzing all moisture in the atmosphere. This will create rain wherever they want, misplacing rain. When forests breathe, and trees are miraculous, they exhale massive quantities of water vapor, because these forests exist in warm latitudes, normally, and of course precious O2 too. Capturing CO2 and transforming it in lignite, and some trees can weigh many tons. This is a miracle. Some tropical trees grow very fast, if nobody cut them down. I'm not talking about the eucalyptus plague, that must be very controlled. And some species of bamboo trees, believe it or not, can grow 90 centimeters per day. There isn't a point of no return. We just need to put the world in the right order again. And start giving the right value again to spirituality and to our mother, the web of life, not rocks and bacteria, and its forests and creatures, and to the humans that live there. The moisture that forests release, besides creating pure rain, collide with mountains, forming snow and glaciers. Some glacier rivers are the only very important water source for hundreds of millions of persons, like the Ganges River for example. And glaciers are vanishing everywhere. With this evil plan and technologies, the MFS are pumping all water everywhere to form the massive cloud walls that are covering the world, to be used as a weapon, yes we know, but also the return of this water under the form of new rain will not obey the normal cycles that nature give to us through forests and trees, for free. They are creating a future and present desert F world. And please do not forget that someone is paying the F spraying, and these MFS aren't who's paying. Where are the international and national laws that regulate flying around the F world? Yes, we are F here. Good luck to us all. Bane B says. Pedro, your post is an insightful understanding of how the cycle of life-sustaining rain works its magic in concert with trees, rivers, clouds, and snow, and glaciers. The information that the headwater glacier that powers the Ganges is melting says it all. Rachel Robson says. Hi Pedro, I love your passion for trees, so eloquently expressed. But, you do realize that there are huge forests in the far north, not just the warmer latitudes, don't you? Like the Great Siberian forests, now and last year too burning out of control, beyond control. Or, the Great Boreal forests in our far north that stop where tundra begins. And, unfortunately, there is such a thing as a point of no return. Forests are like families and as with most plants, prefer to live in family groups. And that is becoming next to impossible. We've killed too many. And as you said, many of these giant ones were ancient. We can keep trying, but we can't turn back the clock on human destruction. I have to ask, what do you have against rocks and bacteria? For Indians here, rocks are holy. Some more than others, such as perfectly round stones. To us they are not silent, they are part of nature too. After all, Earth was once a rock and little else. And it was microbacteria that created living conditions for all plant life, ocean life, air to breathe, and humans too. Without rocks and bacteria, this magnificent Earth would not be all that we are fighting for, including our own lives. Furthermore, did you know that rocks sequester CO2? In fact, this is how most CO2 gets deposited into our oceans, rocks tumbling downstream. As much as I love trees and forests, I would not place one thing above others in nature. After all, they each play a part forming the web of life. They are all connected, all family, us too. Each has their part to play. Ours is to love, defend, and to cherish as you do. David, former Navy aerographer's mate, weather observer/forecaster, says. I feel it is very important for everyone to research their nearest NOAA/NWS hourly weather observation reports for their locality. Every hour, a weather observation is taken and documented/reported for all major cities, international airport and military airport/bases. The temperature, dew point, relative humidity, sky condition, cloud types and cloud heights, wind direction and speed, precipitation, visibility, current weather occurring, thunderstorms, rain, fog, haze/smog, snow, ice, etc., also altimeter/barometric pressure, heat index/HUMI tour and wind chill factor. If you notice in the sky condition section of the hourly weather observation, there may be a high cloud layer, which reads 250 SCT, 250 BKN or 250 OVC. The 250 is shortened for 25,000 feet above ground level, AGL. SCT is a scattered layer of clouds, which means 5/10 or less, 50% or less, of the sky is covered with a particular cloud layer. BKN is a broken layer of clouds, which is 6 to 9/10 of cloud coverage, and OVC is an overcast cloud layer, where 10/10 of the sky, at that particular cloud level, is completely covered. I have noticed quite frequently that these cloud layers, geoengineered, are not being honestly observed and documented/reported by the weather stations. The weather stations not reporting the high cloud layers in the sky condition section will report CLR, meaning clear. Even if those high geoengineered cloud layers were truthfully reported, there is no possible natural way that high cloud layers would constantly be occurring on a consistent daily basis naturally. Rockpicker says, Dave, I live in southwestern Montana, USA, and have watched the skies for years. Our part of the state, geographically, is typified as comprising the intermontane region, with broad valleys broken up by small, fault-block mountain ranges that rise to the 9,000/10,000 feet elevation. We are east of, or straddle, the Continental Divide. Our particular valley lies about due south of Butte, and a little northwest of Yellowstone Park. We are a sparsely populated region and situated south of the main east-west flyways, yet some days we see as many as 50 persistent jet trails crisscrossing our otherwise blue sky. One thing I have yet to hear anyone discuss is the light bluish/gray smoke preceding, and apparently emanating from, heavy cumulus clouds moving over us, usually from west to east. This thin veil appears, predictably, on the downwind sides of heavier, more solid-looking clouds, and is not high enough to be cirrus. It's as if whatever it is has more mass and is driven faster by the wind than the cumulus cloud from which it is sponsored. Just wondered if anyone else has made this observation. Blather says, thanks for the information about these letters and their meaning. What I notice is the weather icon for their 5-day forecast will depict a smiling happy face sun. Yet, the sky above will be covered with a canopy of nanoparticulate jet-induced cirrus clouds, or a general jet-induced haze canopy that noticeably dims the sunshine. Included in these morphed and moving sun blockages are accompanying winds which I believe are associated with a general cooling of the air when the band passes by the observer. Which is to say, this has been my observational experience. The reality is the weather forecasting is usually incorrect here in my area. Indeed, my icons show no rain, yet, and very out of season for here, there has been off and on rain for 3 days. Rachel Robson says, at Rockpicker, hi, and yes to your remark and question about light, bluish-gray smoke clouds. This is what I've been seeing at night lately that is making me so confused and wondering also. A good portion of my upper window in bedroom faces north. I used to see normal air traffic in this frame at night. Now all I see is confusion. Which looks like a light shade of worn-out blue mixed with a sort of worn denim blue, no actual night sky to be seen anymore. When I go and look out that window to see it better, the worn denim blue is blackish on the bottom. This is in no way like the night sky I've been looking at for 37 years here, started looking like this year. So glad to hear another comment on this. Thanks. Now, what the heck is it? Michelle B says. Just heard a weather forecast for Melbourne, Australia, cloudy but dry. Gee, I wonder why. Clouds that don't rain. Who would have thought? Pedro says. Hello Dane and friends, thank you for your work. In the other day a friend told here that we'll have a swamp cooler, with all the rain. That was when we had rainforests. What we have now, and in near future will be worse, is rain in the wrong places and with the wrong intensity, rain that will be lost to the sea. We will have a rainy global F desert someday. And this is the mother of all F Frankensteins. Good luck to us all. Christine says. Here in Colorado Springs, it's been nuts. I couldn't see the mountains and they're only a few miles from my house. I don't have TV, so I searched for why there was smoke. I've never in 42 years heard of an ozone action day alert. And I've lived at the foot of Pikes Peak 42 years. It's disgusting. Links to our local news. http://www.colorado.gov/air-quality/advisory.aspx http://www.colorado.gov/air-quality/colorado_summary.aspx. Wes says. Michelle B. I'm not sure who produces Yahoo Weather. A couple of weeks ago they had in the forecast for night clear, with a 75% of rain. Michelle B. says. Wes, we can only surmise why there are all these discrepancies in the reporting of the weather. It could be because of incorrect or belated information being sent out from central agencies to many various weather stations, as in news networks. It could be the inability to keep up with the lies required to cover their tracks, i.e. the weather anomalies cannot be accounted for by normal explanations, they haven't mastered control of the weather, as this is most likely impossible due to its chaotic nature, or just bad and desperate lying, which I am sure is really the whole story herein. But, regardless of these discrepancies in information fed to us, an overall observation of massive and deliberate intervention in Earth's weather systems is easily made. This is what we should emphasize when introducing this topic to the uninformed. The main reason I watch the news in the few times I now bother to, is to judge the puerile trash that passes for news, to see what methods of distraction are rolled out again and again, and to listen to the horrendous disinformation and propaganda now called world news. In the same fashion, I consult the official weather reporting to judge the error therein. The lies are now mainly the same lot used over and over, but every now and again they come up with a new phrase to explain the effects of SRM in order to normalize it. For instance, cloudy but dry. Mostly clear, partly cloudy, possibility of rain in the morning and the afternoon are good OL standards now. Virtually all the phrases are now a lie of some sort. Free Energy Technologies says. As long as you don't shy away from the truth regardless how corrosive it gets, you will be safe, I think. Susan Ferguson says. Yes. Pedro says. Hello Dane and friends, thank you for your work. Hello. There isn't a point of no return. The way is fighting, in a good and old-fashioned way, like our forefathers did, in the dawn of man, we are alive and awake. In the past, very distant past, temperatures were higher and for very big periods of time the atmosphere was very full of poisonous gases too. And here we are. Now we know the MFS, and we must fight them. They need to fly to spray us. And I ask, there isn't international laws to regulate air traffic in the F world, or this MFS fly anywhere without asking permission to no one. If they spray Germany, and many others, is because the politicians don't know what is going on, or they know about it and don't care, or even worse they are collaborating. This is too a big political problem. I know, telling to the masses that the richest group of MFS in the earth want a global FFUNERAL for all humanity and all biosphere, everything, because this is very big business for them, ain't easy. People will think that who says this is crazy. But we must find a psychosemantic verbal or non-verbal way of convincing our brothers and sisters fast, everyone. If the aluminum can cause a fast decay in fertility for the soil, the picture is worse than we can think. And they can change the F sprays if they want. And there is now a new phenomenon in the ocean caused by the rising of the water's temperature. Plankton normally feeds from the deep sea nutrients that, in normal conditions, rise to the surface from below. But now is being observed that because the great warming of superficial waters, these nutrients remain blocked and can't rise to surface. The warm waters are working like a buffer, stopping the way up for the nutrients. And we know that are only two kinds of ecosystems in the sea, first photosynthetic, second chemical synthetic, from deep hydrothermal springs. And the first represents 99% of all life in oceans. 70% of all people in the earth depends on the ocean for the high-quality protein food source that the oceans can provide. And without plankton, no food, and a very big part of the CO2 remains on the loose waiting for capture. And they are killing plankton, we know that. This geoengineering is only a scheme for pushing the big plan forward. No one can imitate rainforests in their work in being the lungs of the planet. Forests are being destroyed very fast everywhere. And forests produce pure rain, because they are immense reservoirs of pure water. And in geoengineering I think there will be another problem besides the loss of ice at the poles, and all the others, without ancient forests with massive trees, to be very big water reservoirs, if they are catalyzing all atmospheric humidity, this humidity one day may end, in my opinion. Because if the rain, when it falls, doesn't find nothing to trap it, this rain will go to rivers and after to the sea. The plan is clear, transforming all beauty in a desert and after, rain. They are attempting against all ecosystems, all water, the atmosphere, all biosphere, and food. And against us. Who are these MFS? We know them. All world must stand united against the will of these slayers of life. Our planet, the biosphere, the web of life, is unique and beautiful. There's no substitution. Good luck to us all. Keith Crawford says. Thank you, Pedro, for your post. I agree with every word. You spoke the truth very well. Dave says. To Mike looking up, I've listened to the ESF 5-part series a couple of times and your summation pretty well outlines what almost nobody knows about, but makes sense when we wonder where all the money comes from to fund all the Black Ops evil as well as the SRM/SAG programs. Sickening. Welcome Dr. Pandit, it's people like you, Dane and so many others who post and direct others to this website that give me hope that we will prevail and in His grace this evil will be exposed and halted. Grant Jones says. Dave, over a year ago it was reported that the Pentagon could not account for $8.5 trillion. A reporter from San Jose uncovered that the CIA was running drugs and funding covert ops that way. The reporter died suicide, they said. Untold billions have been schemed from the wars that are being fought. Funding isn't a problem, they can always print more. Mike looking up says. Dave, I've only been awake to Dane's battle for 1 year and to the way of the world for 4, the evil world. In other words, I'm a backdated man that didn't have or use a computer until 2012. Besides, I'm not a educated man per se, as I quit school at a early age. However, I can say I've made up for lost time. Over the last 4 years I've read more books than I can count and research everything. In regards to the skies and tic-tac-toe flyovers, it took me 5 hours to see it's going on and a total of 500 hours of study to prove anyone wrong that said this is not happening. Jim Stewart says. Hats off to Inez Maria Pandit, MD, especially with respect to academic training which is cleverly designed to abolish critical thinking, reason, common sense, and free will. I'm reminded of Aristotle, 384 BC to 322 BC, when writing about wrongdoers, public and open injuries are the easiest to do, because nobody could at all suppose them possible, and therefore no precautions are taken. The same is true of crimes so great and terrible that no man living could be suspected of them, here too no precautions are taken. _Art of Rhetoric, BK1, ch 12, translated by W. Rees Roberts, a text which is public domain and no longer under copyright. I applaud all at GeoEngineering Watch who speak critically to it with reason, common sense, and free will. Jim Stewart says. The last statement I made in this comment should read: I applaud all those at GeoEngineering Watch who speak critically to these points with reason, common sense, and free will. For example, Dane attempted to bring critical thinking to bear on a chemtrail debate in 2014, when AZ State Senator Kelly Ward, aka Chemtrail Kelly vs John McCain, organized a town hall hearing on the issue, where she was viewed as having bad judgment, especially after interviewing with Alex Jones. Initially, Kelly stated she had no opinion on the chemtrail question, but later, in 2015, stated she didn't believe in the chemtrails conspiracy theory because, according to her campaign spokesman, Stephen Sebastian, in 2016, to the Arizona Republic, conspiracy theories are intellectually implausible because they require secrecy about complex coordination on a massive scale. Well, there you have it. Public and open injuries are the easiest to do if one skips hearing critically reasoned expertise to the contrary. Nevertheless, I wonder how many have visited GeoEngineering Watch, when they do. I know I did. Abigail says. Thank you Dr. Inez Maria Pandit and Dane for keeping us updated for what's happening all over the globe. This is like an Alfred Hitchcock movie. Scary and unbelievable. Sharing this with Russ Tanner at Orbis Vitae, also known as Global Skywatch. Blessings to all those involved in getting this horrendous crime made public. So many still are doubtful and ignorant. Can't they see the sky? The horrible weather reports all across the globe? No, they say, our government would never do such a thing to our Earth. This is no longer ignorance on their part, it is plain stupid. Press onward and this will be halted as you continue with your well-informed website, Dane. As always, we keep speaking up. Susan Ferguson says. Antarctica reaches 400 ppm CO2. Antarctic carbon dioxide hits 400 ppm for first time in 4 million years. June 16, 2016. Seymour Rocks. In the remote reaches of Antarctica, the South Pole Observatory Carbon Dioxide Observing Station cleared 400 ppm on May 23, according to an announcement from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration on Wednesday. That's the first time it's passed that level in 4 million years. No, that's not a typo. http://robinwestianra.blogspot.com/2016/06/Antarctica reaches 400 ppm CO2.html. Andrew from Scotland says. My 118th email to my contact list, titled Cirrus Cloud Thinning. 1. Please note the verb tense and words used in these quotes from the linked article. You don't have to understand the short article, just read it and you will start to wake up to what is going on in the skies above us. Proposals to geoengineer Earth's climate by cirrus cloud thinning, CCT, potentially offer advantages over solar radiation management schemes, amplified cooling of the Arctic and smaller perturbations to global mean precipitation in particular. Global mean temperature decreased linearly with Earth, effective radiative forcing, while Arctic temperature reductions were amplified compared with the global mean change. The change in global mean precipitation involved a rapid adjustment. Global mean precipitation and evaporation increased strongly in the first year of CCT. Intensification of the hydrological cycle was promoted by http://wiley.wiley.com/doi/10.1002/2015JD02430/full. Of course, they have to create enough cirrus clouds first. 2. All forms of geoengineering are intensively carried out right now. If there is a patent or a proposal, then you can be doubly sure it is active. Professor Wadhams prefers marine cloud brightening. Salt water produces extremely white clouds, until the clouds are oversprayed or internally sprayed with a toxic geoengineering mixture, such as coal fly ash, which will turn the cloud/lower layers/lower clouds a brown/gray color. There are many methods to increase/create cloud cover, aka global dimming, including water vapor generation by power stations, which increases atmospheric moisture. But wait, excessive atmospheric moisture has one of the greatest global warming potentials, so by creating extra clouds we are increasing global warming. Double D. Listen to the interview here. http://www.geoengineering-watch.org/the-social-management-governance-the-are-involved-with-it. David Santillo, top scientist for Greenpeace, is very plausible, but he is obviously trying to deceive us with platitudes. Where they get most of their funding. 3a. Have a look at this so-called rain bomb. It is very impressive. http://www.wimp.com/watch-a-literal-literal-descend-upon-Tucson-Arizona. If you have trained your eyes, you will probably see the cause. B. Scroll through Harold Hensel's slideshow of methane over the peat bogs and thaw lakes east of the Ural Mountains. This area is currently having another excessive heat wave. See last Tuesday night, a massive thunderstorm large enough to cover the England, Scotland, and Ireland combined blew up over Western Africa. This is being pushed north. Heat and sandstorms are expected to reach Ukraine. An abundance of aerosol particles in the atmosphere can increase the lifespans of large storm clouds by delaying rainfall, making the clouds grow larger and live longer, and producing more extreme storms. For there is absolutely no doubt that we are living in the sixth great extinction, and it is happening at a much faster speed than previous extinctions. With regard to geoengineering, maybe we are damned if we do and damned if we don't, but we should be given the choice. We should not be subjected to, nor accept, this covert slow kill for a profit. For leading global geoengineer David Keith to say that what he is involved in gives him sleepless nights is despicable and far worse than any atrocity in history that you care to mention. Pedro says. Hello everybody. Hello Andrew from Scotland. Thank you for the great info. About 3D. I'm noticing this in my country for 2 years already. Now with the knowledge that I've found in this site, I started to look to this clouds with other eyes. The massive clouds are functioning like giant air pumps, catalyzing air moisture and accumulating so much water that the air stays relatively dry, despite of the nebulosity. I think that this is due not only by the amount of aerosols in the air, but in first place by the mixture of aerosols they spray. Depending of the aerosol mix, I think they can manipulate the outcome. And now I understand too, why the clouds are so white and why sometimes the bottom layer or low clouds are so dark, and that doesn't mean necessarily that the rain will fall. Now I understand too, why after the low clouds with rain start to disappear, stays in the air a very strange grey bluish smog, under the 800 m of altitude more or less. I live in the mountains, I can see the valleys very well below, and we don't have pollution here that justifies the smog. This coal ash certainly is not good for the lungs of anyone. And atmospheric moisture can increase the potential for global warming if we don't have trees to capture the CO2. And forests are being cut down everywhere. The last criminal activity in this area is happening in the Carpathian Mountains in Ukraine, and I heard something about Romania too. I don't know about Poland. The EU has made pressures for the cut down of the pristine forests in West Ukraine, because wood for construction is needed. But cutting down the eucalyptus, that are outside Australia, and many of them are GMO, for using its wood for construction and others, this they can't do. This is AF mess. And friend, this sixth extinction is happening, as we know, because a few MFS have decided in doing it so. And they are having fun in doing it, because they are filthy rich and they are playing for more big money with this global extinction evil plan, as we know, too. It's the money god over the humanity of everything. But I say, and every normal person, that they have not the right to decide the fate of everything. This happens because the Western world is a farce. Without real leadership we have only psychopath gangsters and imbeciles that follow the psycho gangsters for the money, all made in the factory robots that we call universities. We have exceptions, of course, and a very big bad example that others are following in other parts of the world. This doesn't leave us no other option besides exposing the MFS. I hope sincerely that Russia bring on the bipolarity of power that is needed now, for a very big period of time, while we take care of this mess. United we must stand. Good luck to us all. Donna AZ says. At Sarah, check to see if you had a smart meter put on your home without your knowledge. I had asthma symptoms, plus other wonderful health problems immediately after smart meters were installed with our solar system. Reduce or eliminate the Wi-Fi, or as someone else called it, Di-Fi. We had those meters changed, got rid of everything cordless and hardwired everything, including the iPad, and all symptoms are gone except for ear ringing. I only get headaches and nausea when the sky is being microwaved, and unfortunately, here in Arizona, it is quite often. Brenda says. Dane, I live in Ontario, Canada, and I've been noticing a change in the technique of spraying in my area lately. A month or two ago it was intense with trails that were very obvious as they spread across the sky. I've observed lately that there seem to be a few more blue sky days allowed to us, than days when the white sky returns, but with a more patchy, overall kind of effect and less visible heavy trail making. But I've especially observed a number of jets flying over that seem to be creating genuine contrails, as the thin, double trails last only a few moments. Considering your information that it's very rare for jets to be able to leave contrails now, could this be a deliberate tactic to confuse the situation and reassure us that those patterns we see in the sky are only that, harmless contrails? Many thanks to you for your passionate dedication to revealing this worldwide emergency. I continue, with unfortunately limited success in the face of doubt and outright ridicule, to speak about the situation with whomever I can. Dane Wigington says. Hello Brenda, thank you for your report. Yes, the experiment in our skies is always in a state of flux, but about the short bright trails that seem to quickly dissipate, chances are that you are still seeing a sprayed dispersion. FYI http://www.geoengineeringwatch.org/the-contrail-lie. Izzy says. As bad as it is, the problem is not only in the skies. Here's what is going on in the ocean, where life originated. Harold Smith says. I live near Dane and have been watching the trails for years. I have watched these jets make U-turns, left and right turns, and what looks like just plain dumps where the spray is a rainbow cloud. Last week was the biggest in your face so far. I looked up and they had just finished laying down a perfect 360-degree circle. No trails leading in or out, and it took up a good section of the sky. They just don't even try to hide it. Our medical facilities can't handle the number of respiratory cases coming in. We have had several of the bluest skies I've seen in a long time this past week. It's got to the point where I get suspicious when they aren't spraying. Keep praying and spreading the word. Bane B says. Your description of your skies and the obvious non-commercial jets spraying you exactly mirrors what occurs over central Mendocino County damned near every day. Big loops abound. Any time a moisture field moves over this region, out come the jets. Up here on my mountain we had a quarter once of rain last night. A bit odd for this time of year but not unprecedented, assuming it was a natural event the last time this occurred about 20 years ago. My eyes are sandpapered shut during the night. My throat is burning by morning, and I cough all day long. My little mini rat terrier has asthma. I hate these weather terrorist bastards. Steve Krause says. Thank you Dr. Pandit and all others on this outstanding website for standing up. Just a general question regarding heavy metal toxicity and detox. Is it true that a high sulfur compound can assist with this type of detox? Has anybody used DMSO for such purposes? Sean S. says. Hi Steve. I have not tried this. I have used DMSA, DMPS, and EDTA for heavy chelation. Check those out. I have also tried methyl sulfur, zeolite, and diatomaceous earth, food grade, as part of a daily detox. Read up on those. Best of luck. Inez Maria Pandit MD says. Dear Steve Krause. Thank you for your response. Sulfur-containing substances, DMPS thiols ingredients in garlic and wild, wood, garlic and other herbs and vegetables, do play a significant role in heavy metal detoxification. I have not used DMSO and will have to research this matter further. I think it is quite possible that a lot of the beneficial effects of this substance can be attributed to the elimination of toxic metals. I will look into that and ask Dr. Joachim Mutter, Germany/Switzerland, one of the leading specialists in environmental medicine worldwide. Best wishes. Inez Pandit. Stephen Chamberlain aka The Pizza Guy says. Hello everyone. I wanted to share with you all some big changes that are coming here in Nikiski, Alaska. As many of you know, I own Charlie's Pizza here in Nikiski, AK. And I have been using my restaurant to spread the word since December of 2013. Every pizza that leaves Charlie's Pizza gets http://www.geoengineeringwatch.org, a flyer, or a number of other printed articles on the box. The walls of my restaurant and the changeable letter sign out by the highway have become a daily reminder to my community of the all-out assault that we are under. After word got out about my plans for the restaurant, and quite quickly I might add, a reporter from our local newspaper called me for an interview. I am thankful for what she printed even though she neglected to include the website, Dane Wigington's name or the term climate engineering. She did use the word geoengineering and refrained from using the word chemtrails. Whether I'm selling pizzas or petunias, I will continue to spread the word until my last breath, without fear, trepidation, or timidity. I am eternally thankful for all who are aware and active in this fight every day. Never, ever give up. Peninsula Clarion article from Flower to Flowers. Sean S. says. Dear Mr. Chamberlain. You and I do not each other personally, but through reading your posts here and watching the video tour you gave of your pizza place I feel like we do know each other. I am extremely grateful for what you do and are trying to do. Regarding the apathy, yes, it is very frustrating. You are quite literally trying to pull someone from a burning house, but they are annoyed with you because you are disrupting the TV show that they are watching. Obviously that's just an analogy, but I do feel your pain. Take solace in the fact that, as Dane says, the naysayers will soon get blindsided by reality. At least us folks will be as ready and prepared as we can be with our eyes wide open. Stay strong and may God keep and protect you and yours. Mike Looking Up says. Information everyone here should know by Eric Decarbonel at marketskeptics.com. Is it impossible to understand the world today without knowing what the ESF is and what it's been doing? Officially in charge of defending the dollar, the ESF is a government agency which controls the New York Fed, runs the CIA Black Operations budget, and is the architect of the IMF, World Bank, etc. The ESF through the OCC and then the CIA built up the worldwide propaganda network which has so badly distorted history today, including erasing awareness of its existence from popular consciousness. It has been directly involved in virtually every major U.S. fraud scandal since its creation in 1934, by way of the Gold Confiscation Act and the $2 billion windfall after the repricing from $20 an ounce to $34 an ounce. The ESF deeds include but not limited to the Lomden Gold Pool, the Kennedy assassinations, Iran-Contra, CIA drug trafficking, HIV, and much worse. This is a 5-part series everyone should see in a chronicle order from 1913 to 34 to 9 to 11 and into today. Finally, there is no case in all of history where a nation has started on an issue of fiat money that the result has not been a complete breakdown of the financial system of that country. However, the ESF was founded for just that reason. To preserve the dollar against anything or anyone, including death, starvation, and war. Beja says. It's true, Steiner's brilliance remains elusive to many, especially those whose particular bias deters any deeper understanding. Anthroposophists like Dr. Pandit and Terry Boardman have my true respect and gratitude. Jeanette S. says. In the SF Bay Area, today, we had all kinds of clouds and lines. It is cold and windy. But what I noticed most was the electromagnetic/microwaving ripple clouds like ripples from a canoe on a lake. Whole Foods has these fab dried cranberries with seeds, pectin, that are sweetened with apple juice. These are from Canada, they are delicious, FYI. Find them in the bulk bins. Jeff says. Rudolf Steiner has brought many good things to our world, including the very successful, fully sustainable, in tune with the natural world, biodynamic farming. I have first-hand knowledge of this farming practice, that utilizes none of the poisons that are being dumped into our environment on a massive scale by conventional industrialized farming, and integrates the spiritual world forces with the physical forces with great harmonic results. Plus, nowhere in the above article does she cite or recommend Rudolf Steiner's work. She only lists one of her credentials as anthroposophic medicine. Is that what you are objecting to? I am familiar with his life's work and his research and know what he truly stands for, so I am not sure what you are alluding to when you say his true background. The proof is in the pudding, they say, and biodynamic farming is only one of those proofs. Maybe you need to research his works with an open mind instead of condemning him from some hit piece you have read. We need more people who understand this work in our world if we want to overcome the grotesque actions of the current power structure. Emery says. Thank you, Doctor, this is a long time coming. More credible professionals are speaking out about this abhorrent attack on humanity, on a global scale. Prophecy does say that things like this will happen now, as we are in the very end of the end times, leading up to the tribulation, which will begin very, very shortly. I've been aware for a decade about HAARP and the chemtrails associated with it. The patents, available for reading, are on whitehouse.gov and say this an exotic weather weapon. It is in two basic parts, chemtrails and HAARP, which is an array of hundreds of antennae that are computer-controlled, and can heat a portion of the ionosphere for steering, increasing, creating, and modifying any weather. And it is quite capable of creating earthquakes anywhere in the world at will, at any depth, and at any intensity desired. Jeanette S. says. I will not go to Kaiser Permanente, not until they open their mouths and start telling the truth. Why would I trust them? Kaiser Permanente in San Leandro, CA has a 1/10 of a mile radius around their building, and all in that building can see 360 degrees what the sky looks like. This area has one of the worst asthma rates in the nation. It has to do with where it lies. The west wind from off the ocean, backs up against our mountains, fills in the bay, bowl, wind blows primarily west but a bit south, at the mouth of a mountain pass, inst 580, an outlet that the air is drawn to yet, the air stills against the MTNS and deposits anything and everything, yep. Even Prop 37 and all the glyphosate. A Washington state doctor spoke out and Kaiser quickly dismissed their comment. I will bet these doctors think they will be right after all the Saudis and their 100-member families when it is time to go underground or get off the rock. A fool is born every minute. Thank you, Dr. Pandit. Naturistleben says. Thanks Dane and Dr. Pandit for their excellent work. In Germany people do not wake up. It's difficult neighbors, friends, colleagues, and the local authorities to convince them of the rigged weather by chemtrails. I run against a wall and am often frustrated themselves. My little club fighting for years against geoengineering. Greenpeace and the church deny consistently chemtrails. My slogan, perseverance and enlighten. Veritas says. Seems like many of these staged events have government funding. Same old misdirection, lies, and pill pull and slash or tacky yeah. Of note is the recent actor's ties to the DHS. Bain B says. Down the rabbit hole, thank you for a most important heads up. Your link and a direct input as well onto Zero Hedge kept tossing me out, making research difficult. Amazing how eyewitness accounts of these mass murders are quickly removed or totally ignored in the MSM. Witnesses in San Bernardino say they saw 3 shooters, and none of them looked like a 120-pound female. Further, they stated the 3 killers were white. Search it out. In Orlando, eyewitnesses state there were 5 persons involved. One of them held the door shut. Other eyewitnesses know of at least 2 shooter. In other words, the big lie that began with 9/11 is operative to this day. The operative term is terrorism. There is a wicked evil operating a plan. The end result will not justify Lucifer's means. The end result can only become absolute catastrophe for humankind. The very same global security firm, Israeli-owned, that handled security for the WTC, and involved airports and aircraft, is the very same security company that employed the Orlando killer. This Trojan horse employs 585,000 employees worldwide. They are into every nation, every company, and corporation of any size. They are a single source provider of end-to-end security services, including everything from diagnosis of existing systems to hiring subcontractors to installing video and electronic equipment. It provides armored vehicles and security guards. In sum, this company has the inside track to know about how to operate a terror network anywhere on planet Earth. Blackwater/ZE/ pales in comparative size next this Israeli-owned behemoth. And this is only a portion of what is held within a holding company. The latest name of the creature is G4S. It was named Securicom Security Company. Then it changed to Stratesec. Included in its clientele is the U.S. Navy, Air Force, Department of Justice, ad nauseum. How is it that a foreign security company has been allowed to penetrate into the very bowels of our nation's security systems? How was the 9/11 con achieved? As a manager, if their Florida operation stated, when you, a company, have a security contract, you know the inner workings of everything. To find reality, one has to search for it. This reality is available on the internet. We are in big trouble. Ron Hall says. There is a lot of almost overwhelming information in this link. I won't expand on the physics of weaponization and whether or not WW3 is actually in play via scalar/plasma physics in the ionosphere/magnetosphere right now. But it is worth the read, IMO. Thank you Dr. Pandit, Dane, and Susan F. Stay brave. Susan Ferguson says. Ron Hall, thank you. Warfare has been changed forever by the development of these scalar energy longitudinal wave howitzers. To get a basic understanding of scalar waves is to have the imagination suddenly run wild as all the implications and possibilities regarding warfare fall into place. One realizes with a certain horror that the world has totally changed, and that there are some very fearsome possibilities. Remember, the power for these weapons comes from the time domain, longitudinal M waves in the vacuum of empty space, and the power is tremendous and mind-boggling. Being able to blast away at any target from a distant control booth is something that has never happened before. This is incredible power to be in control of, and it divides the history of weaponry into before and after. And the destructive power of these weapons is delivered instantaneously to the target from the local vacuum at the place of the target. Bain B says. Susan, could you extrapolate about the term time domain? That intrigues me. Grant Jones says. Ron, incredible read. It seems dark energy/matter have been tapped. If in play and controlled by whom are frightening prospects. Thanks to all. G. More long-digital scalar plasma creations that boggle the mind. We are now beyond nuclear. Susan F. More to ponder as I prefer to do. Incredibly disturbing that humanity has come to this. Grant Jones says. Bain B. I don't understand it either, yet recently science has said that they have detected gravitational waves in space. Einstein said that gravity was like the warping or bending of space-time. Though I am far from understanding, things seem to fit. Thanks to all here. Susan Ferguson says. Bain B. Time domain is the analysis of mathematical functions, physical signals, or time series of economic or environmental data, with respect to time. In the time domain, the signal or function's value is known for all real numbers, for the case of continuous time, or at various separate instants in the case of discrete time. An oscilloscope is a tool commonly used to visualize real-world signals in the time domain. A time domain graph shows how a signal changes with time, whereas a frequency domain graph shows how much of the signal lies within each given frequency band over a range of frequencies. Feature extraction from time domain acoustic signatures of weapons systems fire/AA, U.S. Army Research Lab, United States, UB, U.S. Army Research Lab, United States. The U.S. Army is interested in developing algorithms to classify weapons systems fire based on their acoustic signatures. To support this effort, an algorithm was developed to extract features from acoustic signatures of weapons systems fire and applied to over 1,300 signatures. The algorithm filtered the data using standard techniques, then estimated the amplitude and time of the first 5 peaks and troughs and the location of the zero crossing in the waveform. Rachel Robson says. At Susan, thank you for explaining time domains so well through these links. I felt I understood, sorta knew what it meant. Now I feel I really get it. Quite the hat trick. Roger Gibbons says. Thank you, Dr. Pandit, we need more people like you. I wish doctors in Canada would come out like you have. I do send info to major hospitals in my area, but no response, but I keep doing it. I probably get more response with the Stop Spraying Us sign on my van. Thanks again for your courage, we need more of that. Sean Slavin says. This article has sparked a lot of emotions in me. The timing of it is particularly poignant for a few reasons. First, it has reminded me that in life there are no accidents. This to me is proof of a higher power and forces of light. Second, today has been a particularly sobering day for me. You see, even though I know that what is being done is evil, since I don't come from that place, I was trying to hold on to any shred of hope that there was something I was missing. Maybe some benevolent purpose buried somewhere in this darkness. Today I finally accepted that no, this is all bad. It's not that I'm naive, idiotic or dim. Again, I just can't relate. I'm sorry that I have been so slow to accept this, but perhaps that's a good thing if you know what I mean. This plan is so big, so vast, and frankly very risky for those trying to pull it off that my little mind just couldn't fully accept and grasp it. This leads me to my point. A little over 2 years ago I walked away from a well-paying, secure job in family business. The environment there was a microcosm of what appears to be the mentality of those behind these crimes against life. CO-dependent, abusive, destructive, self-serving and soul-sucking. Anything for a buck no matter who gets stepped on. I not only never felt right about it, it damn near killed me. I never went along with the plan. I am an artistic, loving person, and that kind of scheming and greed really messed me up. One day I decided that I'd just had enough. I quit. Scared as hell. I'd built a life and a lifestyle that wouldn't support anything less than a healthy 6-figure income. Yet here I was 40 years old, married with 3 children, sick, depressed and unemployed. On paper there was no way that we could survive. Well, not survive for very long anyway. Yet somehow we made it through a month. And then another month. And then another. Each month just the right amount of money would come at just the right time. Looking back, it was beyond miraculous. That experience really made me accept and believe that a creator not only exists, but that he/she loves us and wants the best for us. May peace be with you. Sarah says. What a wonderful, heartfelt comment you made. I made a similar decision years ago because I wanted to respect the face I saw in the mirror every morning, and like you, I've made it through month by giving up some of the luxuries I'd enjoyed. Now, here I am at 77, and although I have never been a smoker nor attended smoke-filled rooms, I have contracted what my doctor calls late-onset asthma of unknown cause, and I'm almost sure it's been caused, at least in part, by my simple need to breathe, in spite of the weather modification chemicals raining down on us all. I'm so gratified I woke up in time to prevent my soul from being seduced beyond redemption by the evil beings in control of this planet, as you have. Yes, God does love us and wants the best for us, and gave humanity the colossal gift of free will. We're allowed to find our own way. Appreciating free will has helped me to quit blaming God for anything that befalls me, as I now recognize that existence is a gift of will to do the right thing in spite of seductions to the contrary. Errors we commit which harm others are the worst kind of errors. Those which harm only ourselves have lessons to teach us. And every experience we live is a test of one sort or other of our judgment and character. It's not good for one's soul to forget this. I find it very telling that in the English language there is no androgynous pronoun we can use for God. May peace be with you also. L says. Thank you, Dr. Pandit, for speaking out so eloquently. I appreciate how you brought the spiritual aspect of this issue into light. People are so afraid right now. If we can assist in breaking through the fear barrier of life and death, many more will become courageous. Thank you, Dr. Pandit, and also Dane Wigington. MS says. I appreciate the words spoken by the doctor about how academic institutions are breeding out critical thinking skills. It's happening on every level of the educational spectrum, from the corporate takeover of education through Common Core to the cognitive dissonance of supposedly educated people. How can people be this blind and this asleep? How do people not notice the difference in the skies? How can people just go about life as though things were normal? How? It is simple: the degradation of public and private education. If we spent on education what we normally spend on defense and black operations, we might not live in a world of perpetual war and psychopathy. I would love to see a guest writer from the academic world address how climate change is being taught in schools. Any science teachers out there want to speak up? Because you have an obligation to speak up. Jeanette S. says. That has been since the 60s. Notice many liberal ideologies reflect the elite's interests. Check out a letter written by Chief Justice Lewis Powell. It is a call to arms for all corporations to organize against unions/the people. It has been downhill ever since. You can find it on Greenpeace site. Included is the takeover of the schools. Martha says, "Thank you Dane and Dr. Inez, Maria Pandit for your wisdom, strength, and courage. I intend to send this well-written piece to friends in Germany and elsewhere. All the best to you." Stacy Michaels says, "Excellent commentary. Thank you, Dr. Pandit. There are very few doctors that have your awareness." Stacy. Eric, USA, says, "Thank you all for all your hard work. I am optimistic that we will win this fight against humanity. I will continue my quest to educate as many people as possible. It's just diabolical." Michelle B. says, "This mirrors the large picture description I wrote in the last recent article. Destruction of almost everything is necessary for full control. Make no bones about it, the communist Talmud's dreams are unfolding. They cannot imagine humans who are this insane and psychopathic. But they are merely human, or rather subhuman, since they lack the most fundamental aspect of the human condition, that of compassion, which is synonymous with empathy." Matt Sarlo says, "Thank you for being professional and true to your calling." Linda says, "So wonderful. A landmark message, thanks so much. Passing it on to many, with love and hope." Nick B. says, "When you show people the lines in the sky that are turned on and off, and then explain what the official explanation is for chemtrails, they scientifically have to understand that this is something being sprayed. If not, move on, but I have planted many seeds and opened many eyes this way, and it was going on all day in New Jersey today." Susan Ferguson says, "DARPA extends laser weapon range /11 March 2014. Latest work in Excalibur project uses new 21-element optical phased array technology." The U.S. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, says that a developmental laser weapon has precisely hit a target from 7 kilometers, thanks in large part to a 21-element optical phased array, OPA, that maintains good beam quality over such large standoff distances. Although the latest demonstration was not with the kind of high-power beam that would ultimately be needed for such weapons, a ramp to 100 kW is envisaged over the next 3 years. It does show that optics are able to compensate for the distortion caused by atmospheric turbulence, a key technical challenge for laser weapons. Joe Mangano, the program manager within DARPA's Excalibur project, says that the recent demo shows that the OPA-corrected laser can outperform conventional systems that suffer from reduced beam quality. Maintaining a good beam shape is critical to ensure that sufficiently concentrated power is delivered to a target to destroy it. The 21-element OPA used by DARPA, which was made by Ohio-based Optonics, comprised 3 identical clusters of 7-fiber lasers. Each cluster measures 10 centimeters across. Combined with an ultra-fast algorithm, the OPA is said to be able to correct for atmospheric turbulence within a millisecond. These experiments validated that the OPA could actively correct for even severe atmospheric distortion, DARPA officials said. The demonstration ran several tens of meters above the ground, where atmospheric effects can be most detrimental for Army, Navy, and Marine Corps applications. Optonics, which is working on a large number of U.S. military projects related to laser and so-called directed energy weapons, received funding from DARPA to continue its development of fiber array beam projection systems in late 2012. Around the same time, the company also received backing from the U.S. Air Force to develop a new type of sub-aperture wavefront sensor for optical fiber phase array systems that could be used in directed energy, astronomy, and optical communications applications. Similar awards followed in 2013 from the U.S. Navy, the Joint Technology Office and the Air Force again, including funds to develop what it calls the Advanced Phased Array for Conformal, High Energy, Apache, approach. Photo image of the sci-fi-like weapon here. Grant Jones says. Another good article, Susan. With very little imagination one could visualize what could happen with a high-energy laser directed into either a continuous plasma cloud or a plasma cloud at the target. Voila, the high-energy weapon. I would bet they are testing it or have perfected its use on a small scale. Star Trek is here, phasers. Thanks. Thanks to GeoEngineeringWatch.org for this. Please add your comments below and don't forget to like this video and subscribe.